Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Group Captain Lee Dunnett. Group Captain Dunnett will be retiring today from the Australian Defence Force following almost 37 years of dedicated service. Sir, we thank you for your service. We warmly welcome the family of Private Herbert Vivian Holdford, whose story will be told shortly. This evening, we are also honoured to acknowledge Major General Christian Tahutaru, Operations Assistant of the Indonesian Chief of Army, accompanied by Major General Chris Smith, Deputy Chief of Army, and their accompanying delegations. We warmly welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, by visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Wagga Wagga Christian College from New South Wales and Yeshiva College visiting from St Kilda East, Victoria. If you are able, would you now please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students and visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Herbert Vivian Holdford. Herbert Holdford was born in 1893 in Lithgow, New South Wales. He was the firstborn child of British immigrants Thomas and Jane Holdford. He had 7 brothers and sisters. Alongside his schooling, Vivian, or Viv as he was better known, spent some time in the senior cadets. He worked at Lithgow Valley Company Iron Foundry and Brickworks, and later as a railway porter. Vivian was a keen sportsman and played district rugby union and cricket for the Railway Cricket Club. He was also a member of the Lithgow Rifle Club. Following the outbreak of war in August 1914, Viv tried 3 times to enlist, but was rejected on medical grounds. A 4th attempt in Sydney on the 14th of November 1916 was successful. On leaving before shipping out, he was given a send-off by his previous workmates and employer, who presented him with a wristwatch. Private Holdford's first week of training was at Bathurst with C Company 1st Depot Battalion. Returning to Sydney, he was allotted to the 8th Reinforcements of the 54th Infantry Battalion, but in January 1917 he was reassigned to the 9th Reinforcement of the 56th Infantry Battalion. On the 24th of January 1917, he embarked for overseas service aboard the troopship Anchises. After reaching Devonport in the United Kingdom on March 27th, Holdford spent the next few months with the 14th Training Battalion based at Herdcott. With training complete in October, he was sent over the Channel, joining the 56th Battalion in Belgium on the 26th of October. The battalion had been through several weeks of heavy fighting between Ypres and Passchendaele and were now badly in need of replacements. Assigned to B Company, Viv soon settled in with his new comrades. Over the next few months, they held the line near Messines during a relatively quiet winter. In March 1918, he attended a 10-day musketry course. A week later, the Great German Spring Offensive struck, sending Allied forces into headlong retreat. Viv Holdford was with the battalion as they fought to stem the enemy tide at Villers-Bretonneux. On August the 8th, 1918, all 5 Australian divisions participated in one of the most important battles of the war. The Battle of Amiens saw German forces driven back in headlong retreat. Fierce fighting continued for the remainder of the month as the Australians pursued the Germans. The enemy made a stand where a great bend in the Somme River created a natural barrier. Behind this stood the near impregnable German defences of Mont-Saint-Quentin and the fortified town of Péronne. On the last day of August, troops of the 2nd Australian Division gained a tenuous hold on the hill. Early the next morning, in cold, drizzling rain, 5th Division men, including the 56th Battalion, crossed the river and pushed southwards to take Péronne. Stumbling in the dark through unfamiliar ground near a wood 170 years ago to this day, men of the 56th Battalion were soon caught in withering crossfire from 3 sides. Casualties were heavy, but the Australians managed to fully capture both key objectives within 3 days. All told, the Australians suffered over 3,000 casualties, taking Mont-Saint-Quentin and Péronne. Among the dead was Private Herbert Vivian Holdford. Badly wounded by a shell during the advance, his wounds were bound up by Lieutenant Musgrove, with whom Viv was able to briefly speak a few words. He died soon after. Holdford was initially buried in an isolated grave in a private garden in Péronne. Later, his remains were reinterred in Péronne Communal Cemetery Extension, today maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Vivian Holdford was only 25 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among nearly 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Herbert Vivian Holdford, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.